Welcome back. Lori Horton joins us in the studio this morning to teach us how to make king cake candy crackers. Say that 10 times fast. Good morning, Lori. How are you doing?
That is a lot for a Monday. I know. I apologize. As we know, Fat Tuesday is tomorrow, the start of our Mardi Gras celebrations, all the fun stuff that's going to be going on in the next couple of days. So we thought it would be fun to do kind of a simple little version of that, something that gets those flavors involved without having to roll out a lot of dough and get too complicated. So this is going to give us all those flavors of Louisiana with the kind of praline, pecan, cinnamon, all of that good stuff in a little bit of a simplified version and kind of a candy in a way.
Oh, that sounds
so good. We're going to actually deconstruct it just a little bit. So you guys are going to have to pay attention on this one. Keep up with me. We're going to do this a little bit out of order. And what I've got going on here on the stove top is a couple of sticks plus a couple tablespoons of butter and a cup plus a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar. So we've just got that all nice and melted together, and it's going to start boiling here very quickly. And
what's the right heat to have this on?
You're going to need to have this on kind of a medium high.
Okay.
Be a little bit cautious at first and make sure you let that butter melt. Then put the brown sugar in there and let them kind of dissolve together because it will stay separated for a little bit. And then it will start to come to a boil. And once it starts to boil, you want to try to keep it on there for 2 to 3 minutes. And ours is getting very, very close. And a small saucepan like this is fine. It's going to grow a little bit, but it won't overrun it. And you want to be sure you've got a good whisk in there, that you're keeping it moving constantly, because this is basically going to turn into caramel. So we're going to cook that butter down, we're going to get that sugar going, and we're going to make a caramel sauce. Once it starts to boil, which mine is just about to that point, silicone whisk works well so that you don't have to worry about a hot handle on there. I'm going to add about a teaspoon, generous teaspoon, of cinnamon to that also.
Ooh,
so that's going to get our flavor started in there. That's going to really warm up and mix into that caramel. We're going to, when we come back in our next segment, actually put this together in the right order. But it's pretty simple. And what's really nice is this is a very sweet, obviously, recipe. But we're going to have a base in there of some saltine crackers that'll give us a nice crunch.
Good balance,
Balance, exactly. A little pinch of salt to it. It's going to just sort of keep everything from being overpowering. But it is something best served in small pieces. Maybe with some coffee, you know, that's our tradition. We go down to Jackson Square, down towards Bourbon Street, have that really strong Louisiana coffee and a really, really sweet dessert that goes with it. It's a perfect combination. So this is starting to boil up, and I don't know how well you guys will be able to see this, but it's going to lighten in color just a little bit. And it's going to just be very thin, very nice, and really just look like a nice pourable caramel. So again, when we come back, we'll layer all those pieces together. We'll have that all topped on there and show you how you put all this up.
All right, sounds like a plan, Lori. Thanks. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've been making king cake candied crackers with Lori Horton this morning, and if you could smell it in here, it smells so good. It's just like been amazing all morning with this caramel that we made.
If you guys have any questions, we really do this live. We really do this live.
Yes, thank goodness.
Well, our next step on this is actually gonna back up and start back at the beginning, because we had to do this a little bit out of order, just to show you guys that process of kind of cooking that caramel layer up. So what I started with is a good sized sheet pan here, and I've lined it with foil. One important part is to spray it with our baking spray or our cooking spray here. So we want to make sure we get a little bit of a layer of that in there, because this is a sticky, gooey candy, obviously. So that helps so you don't end up with foil pieces in it. And then after we cooked that caramel, that was just the butter, brown sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, that's where our king cake flavors really come into play, right? Tomorrow's Fat Tuesday, we've got to prepare. So this is so quick and easy though. All I did was put a layer of saltine crackers in the bottom, and these are just like regular, you know, normal old saltine crackers, nothing out of the ordinary. This worked out so perfectly in this size pan.
It made my, perfect.
It made my OCD so happy to get exact layers, but whatever size pan you have, put a single layer in the bottom. And then we just poured that caramel over the top. and with an angled spatula, kind of made sure that those were really nicely, evenly covered. And then this actually bakes in a 350-degree oven for about 5 minutes. And that's just
that's not long at all.
No, and it cools off very quickly. So this is a fast step, but very important because we want to continue that caramelization and we want to bake those in with those crackers. So now that we've got that done, this is cool, this is good to go. We're actually going to make kind of a white chocolate frosting for the top because it's not sweet enough already. I've got 4 cups of powdered sugar in my bowl right here. I'm going to add to that a little bit of warm water.
All right.
And some corn syrup. This is not. The dentists are going to love me today.
It's not Tuesday, it's Mardi Gras.
Yes, it doesn't count because we're gonna all give up something after the end of the day tomorrow. Hopefully it's not sugar as a whole.
Great.
And we're gonna add a little bit of white chocolate, and this is just white chocolate chips melted. And then to that, some almond extract because that's a really good flavor booster. I'm gonna put about 4 teaspoons of almond in there. And then we still want to come back and get some more of that cinnamon in. So another good heaping tablespoon of that cinnamon. And last, just because this will really cut that sweetness, guys, you know, we're going to put a little pinch of salt in there.
Yeah, that'll go a long way.
Yes, we hope so. Salt, do your best, buddy. I'm going to just start to mix this in a little bit with my spatula so I don't make too much of a mess. And then I'm going to switch to a whisk.
Okay.
When we come back, we're going to just really spread that on there nicely. We'll get this all nice and smooth, and then we'll add our Mardi Gras colors to that because we can't make it plain.
Absolutely not. All right, Lori, thanks. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Lori's been showing us how to make her king cake candied crackers. Now we're on the final steps. What's left?
All right. All we have left is to make this final topping. And this is just the yummiest part of it, really. It does sweeten it up even more. But I've got my frosting all nice and mixed. It's not going to be a perfectly smooth frosting. It's got some little pieces in it. That white chocolate only mixes in so much. But you can see it's a nice...
Smells so good. If anything, make this just to smell it.
The cinnamon is worth it. To cook that caramel is what's really just made the studio smell amazing this morning. So yeah, totally worth it. But we're just going to take this out of our whisk a little bit. This is going to be plenty to make a nice layer across the top, even as large as my pan is here. And then we're going to add those final bits to the colors. And when it comes to Mardi Gras, we've got those very specific purple, green, and gold colors. There's a lot of symbolism there when we come to all of these fun stuff. You know, Mardi Gras is always a fun party, but there's a lot of symbolism behind it. So it's really cool to kind of do that deep dive and look up what all of these things, where their origins came from and all of that good stuff. But we're going to get that all into our pan. Set this out of the way just a little bit, put it in my reach. This is where our angled spatula really comes in handy, guys. If you don't have one of these in your kitchen, you should. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it is so handy to keep your fingers out of these kinds of things. When you have a soft icing, it just moves it around so well. So I want to make sure I get this all the way to the edges. We don't want to leave any piece not fully covered. Now this will kind of set pretty quickly. So if you're going to add your sugar toppings, anything like that, you want to have them just like I do right here, ready to go, lids open. Because once this starts to set just a little bit, especially your sugars won't really stick to it well. So we'll put that guy out of the way. We want to add first some pecans.
Ooh, delicious.
Now, I didn't have any pecans yesterday when I made my first pan to bring in to show you guys, so that one's going to be a little bit lacking. But this is so much better. This really gives you that sort of praline, or as they would say in the South, praline sort of flavor to it. You can toast these a little bit first too. Totally worth that extra step.
Great crunch.
And then we want to add just a little bit of those good purple, green, and gold Mardi Gras colors. Now, I kind of did mine. It does. It just gives it that color. It's kind of cool. It gives it a little more crunch on the top too. So, you know, if you're not a big fan of that, you don't have to add this, or maybe you add it to half of your pan for those folks that don't like that sugary, extra crunchy bit to it. But honestly, it's kind of the best part.
And if you have kids, I'm sure they love sprinkling on these colors.
They're going to have a ball with that. You don't have to get quite as precise as I am. Again, my OCD does not allow it to be anything else. So you can just throw these on there. You can add some beads if you want to really get into the king cake lore of it. Somewhere on there you want to tuck
like those
one
candy
of those
pearls
little plastic
Ooh,
babies.
Sure, yeah.
That's going to decide who has to bring the treats to next year's Mardi Gras party. So have some fun with it. As much time or as little time as you need to spend on that, it's going to be good to go.
Fantastic. Well, we'll of course have this recipe on our website later on today, KLAMnewsnow.com. Lori, as always, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Stick around. We'll be right back.